Ning opened his eyes. There was a new shine in them. After learning the different books for the last 30 days, he had been both neglecting his cultivation and energy gathering as well. Thankfully, he could gather energy very fast with the chi. Still, his cultivation was lacking a lot in the effort. He had been practicing slowly, but the tons of information in his head were keeping him distracted. However, after fully understanding the knowledge he had acquired, he was finally free to progress with his cultivation, and in a single day, he broke through in both body and chi. He was now a 6th chi condensation realm cultivator with nearly a 7th level body cultivation. This was something he wouldn't even dream of achieving in less than a year back in Clavis. Ning walked out of the room with his usual bald head, but a calm heart and a wide smile, and made his way to the disciples' hall where they put you into work at the Physicians' Guild. Hello. I have been here for a month and I need to start working in the Physicians' Guild according to the rules. Do you know what I should do? He asked the person registering the different people. The bald man looked at him with a warm smile and said, "Good morning, brother. Please give me your identification card. I will make you a slip so you can go work in the Physicians' Guild." Ning did as asked and took out his identification card and handed it to the person. The person made a small paper slip and handed it to Ning. "Go and show this to the person at the registration of the Physicians' Guild and they will tell you what to do," the man said. "Thank you, brother," Ning said and left the sect. He walked a few minutes to the other side of the city center and reached the Physicians' Guild. He walked up to the registration place and handed him the slip. "I'm starting today. Please tell me what to do," Ning said. The man looked at the slip and called someone. "What is it, brother?" A young man with a bald head arrived from inside. "Brother Ning here is new to the job. Show him what you do each day. He will follow you around for today," the man at the registration said. "Ah, I see. Good morning, brother Ning. My name is Samad. Please follow me. I will show you around the guild," he said and walked inside. Ning had gone inside once before, so he knew just how big the place was. The outer registration hall was barely anything compared to the entire building. Ning followed the man named Samad and he introduced him to the entire Physicians' Guild. The Physicians' Guild didn't only have people from the pure cleansing sect, however, most of them were indeed from there. There were also people who only wanted to learn to be a physician, but didn't want to join the sect. As such, the guild was divided into 3 sections: the Volunteers' Hall, the Physicians' Hall, and the Learning Hall. The Learning Hall was where the different people learned new knowledge to become physician. This place had the same books as the pure cleansing sect but cost money to learn. If they wanted to read for free, they had to join the sect. The Physicians' Hall was the obvious main attraction of the guild. It was the place where the certified physicians stayed and treated the different patients that arrived here. The Volunteers' Hall was the same as the Physicians' Hall, however, these people were wannabe physicians who were only allowed to treat minor illnesses and injuries that would be just a waste of time for the more qualified physicians. These people could also not earn any money and were thus usually just working there to gain experiences for when they became physicians. Ning was a little surprised when he learned that. "Can anyone become a volunteer?" he asked while walking down the hallway of the Volunteers' Hall. "No, you need to pass a small exam if you want to start volunteering. They need to make sure that you are able to treat injuries before they start sending you the injured," Samad said. "Of course. That makes sense. So, I assume the volunteers have to take some exam to become a physician as well?" Ning asked. "Oh yeah. They actually have to take 3 different ones. One where they recognize the injuries. Second where they recognize different ingredients, and third where they have to recognize what medicine is used for what injury," Samad said. "That's quite a lot of tests, isn't it?" Ning asked. "Yes, but we need those so that we get the best physicians out of the volunteers who can actually do their job with the lowest error rate," Samad said. He then took Ning to Physicians' Hall next. There were multiple different rooms in the Physicians' Hall, each with its own physician. "This is where we mostly come to it, brother Ning. Our task is to attend to the physicians. You will only have to do it once a day, but if you end up making a physician your master, they can permanently keep you with them so that you can learn from them. That's what most want to do really. Get taught by a talented physician, pass the test to become a volunteer and then learn enough that you end up becoming a physician. Oh, what a dream. Shame, someone like me can never do that," Samad said dejectedly. "I'm sure you will make it big someday, brother Samad. You just gotta keep hope," Ning said. "Sigh, that's true. I always get hopeless when I think about this stuff," Samad said. Ning smiled and walked behind him as he took him through the various hallways until he reached one particular door. "Right there, that's where Elder Neil works and I am his attendant today," Come, I will show you what happens. Samad opened the doors to the room and walked inside. Is that our cuss? A disciple? Oh, you have someone shadowing you today, Samad? The physician inside the room asked. Yes, Elder Neil. This is Brother Ning. He will be under me for today so I can teach him the ways of an attendant, Samad said. Good morning, Elder Neil, Ning greeted respectfully. Elder Neil nodded and asked, is this your first time seeing a physician? No, I once came here a few months ago to get medicine for my bird. The first elder had helped me at the time, Ning said. Oh, so you have seen physicians in action, huh? I was looking forward to impressing you, Tisk, Elder Neil said as he clicked his tongue. Ha ha ha, Elder Neil, your plan's got water all over it, Samad said as he laughed too. Ning didn't understand what was so funny, but seeing the two laugh, he wanted to laugh too. Suddenly Samad stopped laughing and took out a piece of paper and looked at it. Squiggly lines were written all over it. Huh? What language is that? How come I don't know it? Ning was surprised. Technically speaking, he should know every single language and alphabet out there, but he couldn't understand what the squiggly lines said. Maybe it's not a language. Ning wondered. Come, Brother Ning, a patient has arrived, Samad said and dragged Ning all the way to the registration hall. This place is too small when compared to the rest of the place, Ning thought. Brother Samad, here, the man at the registration called over. In the hallway was an old mother with a 2-year-old child in her embrace. What's wrong? Samad asked. Her child fell from the stairs and seems to have broken his right leg, the man said. Samad nodded and said, come with us, miss. The woman quickly followed Samad and walked in. Ning walked behind her, fully seeing the mother's worry. It made him feel a little sad. Did my mother worry about me like this when I was young? He wondered. Ever since the accident that sent his life in a downward spiral, he had never thought about his parents aside from the occasional times when he felt lonely. Earlier on, he would feel angry and betrayed that they left him alone. He would even curse at them for leaving him behind. But as he grew older and learned more about the world, he just felt sad about his parents' early death and started to stop thinking about them. However, seeing the mother's worry, it all came flooding back in. My parents probably loved me the same way, perhaps even more, he thought. If only I could see them once more, his eyes started getting wide. System. Can I get my parents back? Can I get them back? Please, say yes. Please, can I get them back? He asked. Less than you can recreate the body, you can recreate the memories, but you cannot recreate the souls of that which is already dead greater than. Less than soul is a form of energy and is thus you are not allowed to create it greater than. Tears streamed down his eyes. He had expected some answer along the same line, but he still had some hope. In the end, it was all for nothing. He quickly wiped his tears and saw that the mother was doing the same as well. She was crying too. Of course, she was. Her child was hurt. If a mother wouldn't cry there, then who would? Ning almost asked the system to help her son right now, but stopped. No, I need to see that everything I have done for the past 30 days was not in vain, he thought. They finally reached the room of Elder Neil and entered. Neil watched the group walk in and asked, what's the problem, Samad? Her son fell and broke his leg, Samad said as he took the boy from the mother's embrace and brought him to the elder. The boy was unconscious from the pain. Elder Neil first woke up the child. The child woke up and started crying once more, but Elder Neil ignored him. Instead, he started poking around his leg, trying to find the point of fracture. He took the child's cries as an indication of whether he was in the right area or not. Ning watched all of this happening from afar and thought to himself. From the looks of the child's cries, the tibula bone has fractured. To heal, we would need to make a paste out of water ox's horn powder, silver eagle's feather, wild roseberry, emerald ginger, crying fruit's seed, and upside down gourd's water. Put it around the fracture area and then put a cast on it. Samad, bring me a clean slab, Elder Neil said. Samad went to the drawers near the walls and brought out a clean slab and placed it in front of the elder. Elder Neil then started taking items out from the storage bag. Water ox's horn, silver eagle's feather, wild roseberry, emerald ginger, crying fruit's seed, and an upside-down gourd. He cut off a piece of the ox's horn and turned it to powder. He put the feather, berry, ginger, and seed as is. Then, he opened the upside-down gourd and poured a little water out of it. He started crushing all of them together with a small rock until they were fully incorporated with each other and were a smooth paste. He then applied it all over the side of the little boy's calf and took out 2 sticks which he put on either side of the boy's leg. He then pulled out a clean bandage and wrapped it around the leg until it was fully covered. Only then did Elder Neil stop concentrating on the boy and took a breath. "He will be fine now," he said, reassuring the mother. "Thank you so much." The mother started crying. Ning, however, didn't process any of it. He could only think of a single thing right now. "I was right." The mother thanked Elder Neil a few more times before checking up on her son. The little boy had stopped crying after seeing the treatment being done and instead just sniffling right now. "Say thank you to the doctor, son," the mother said. "Thank you, doctor," the little boy said. "It's okay, I am just doing my job. Just make sure not to walk on that foot a lot, okay, young man?" Elder Neil said. The boy nodded for a while. "All right, let's talk about the price," Elder Neil said. "Yes, doctor. I have about 7 silver coins. Will that be enough?" she asked. Elder Neil's face changed a little. "Miss, you should know that our ingredients cost a lot, right? This treatment actually costs you 5 gold coins," he said. The color drained from the mother's face. "Heavens, I don't have that kind of money, doctor. I brought all that I had with me. These 7 silver coins are what I made from my work in the restaurant. Please, doctor, can you not do anything?" she asked. "I'm afraid that's not possible. While we are here to serve the everyday people, it's not a charity. We still need money to keep doing what we are going," Elder Neil said. "But I don't have that kind of money. What should I do, doctor?" the mother asked. "That is no concern of mine. I only require you to pay 5 gold coins, that's it," Elder Neil said. Where do I find such money from a doctor? Please have mercy on this poor woman." The mother started crying. The boy didn't know what was going on, so he started crying too. Elder Neil's face grew very cold and he said, "If you can't bring me my money, then I will let the authority deal with you. Samad, call the soldiers." No, please. I will slave away if I have to. Please don't call the soldiers. I can't leave my son. My husband is already gone. If I am taken away too, my son will be orphaned," the woman cried. "I don't see how that is my problem," Elder Neil said. Ning was simply stunned looking at the scene. A mother groveling on the ground due to not being able to pay her son's medical fee. Why was such a thing even present in such a world of cultivation? They should have been able to cure the son without asking for more money, however, they were absolutely not letting the woman go. Ning understood that letting a single person go away without payments would create precedents where one could get treated without paying a single coin. However, it shouldn't cost 5 gold coins. That bastard is clearly taking advantage. It should cost 3 coins at best, and with how many visitors he gets every day, he shouldn't care about such measly money, Ning thought. Samad was about to leave the room to call the soldiers when Ning spoke. "Wait, brother Samad." Samad stopped in his track and asked, "What is it, brother Ning? Do you want to come to the soldiers' barracks with me? It's not very far from here." "No, actually," Ning said as he took out 5 gold coins from his storage and handed it to the mother. "Please stand up and use this," he said. The mother looked dumbfounded for a few seconds, not knowing what was happening, but soon realized what transpired in front of her. She quickly took the gold coins from Ning's hand and started thanking him profusely, blessing him for what he was doing. The woman gave the gold coins to the elder and walked out of the room. Ning and Samad followed behind her until she walked out of the physician's guild. Then they went back to Elder Neil's room. Samad walked up to the elder and took the stone slab and the rock to wash it. Elder Neil looked at him with weird eyes and asked, "You like playing a savior, huh? Fancy yourself a hero?" "Sorry," Ning asked. "Don't be. I saw how you wanted to look good in front of the old woman." "Do you like her?" Elder Neil asked. "She said she doesn't have a husband, and she only has a single child, so she's not that old either," Elder Neil said. "Please don't insult me, Elder Neil. I only helped a mother who cared about her son, that's all. I just didn't want her to drop unnecessary tears," he said. I see, you are quite righteous, aren't you?" Elder Neil said and nodded. After that, he said nothing. Soon, another customer arrived, so Samad and Ning rushed off to see this new patient. The patient had a bloody red arm, although it was quite unnoticeable thanks to the red robe the man was wearing. "What happened to your arm?" Samad asked. "I broke it while I was learning how to fly. I didn't get very far into the lesson and fell to the ground from the sky. So, my arm broke. It will be easy to fix, right? He asked. "Don't worry. Our elder can heal any injuries. You've come to the best place, Samad said. Soon, they were in the elder's room and Elder Neil had started to make the pastes. In a few minutes, just as Ning was guessing, Elder Neil picked and mixed together ingredients from his guess and applied the new paste on the wood. Soon enough, the casting was done too and it was time for the man to pay his due. He pulled out 7 gold coins and asked, "Is this enough?" "No," Elder Neil suddenly said. "It will cost you 10 gold coins." 10 gold coins? That's a lot of coins, doctor. Can't it be lowered? A little discount? He asked. I am sorry, but I can do no such thing. However, you are in quite a bit of trouble, so why don't you ask Attendant Ning here? He seems to be fond of helping others with financial needs. The FCK, is that supposed to mean? Ning thought when he heard Elder Neil speak just now. Isn't that right, Attendant Ning? You can give this man 3 gold coins, right? It's for the treatment after all, Elder Neil said. I only helped a mother in need, Elder Neil. This person can easily go out and earn his own money to pay. Besides, he is a cultivator. He should have stuff he could pawn in if needed, Ning said. Oh, but I thought you were a righteous savior who helped all, Attendant Ning. Was I wrong? Was it only just because the previous one was a woman? Elder Neil said. Damn, this man definitely wanted something that I got in the way of. What thought? Ning wondered. He started looking through the different things that happened in the room until now, the increased cost of medicine, the terror he put the woman through, there was definitely some purpose there. Ning then finally realized it. Ker. Quite literally. This man wanted the mother just now, so he made it so that she was in his debt and would blackmail her. No wonder he is angry at me for ruining his chances. FCK this guy, Ning thought. Ning turned to the man with the broken arm and asked, how many golds did you say you had? 7? Yes, the man nodded. Ning then checked his cultivation base and realized that he was in Chi Condensation 8th realm. What the FCK? He is stronger than me and he doesn't have more than 7 gold coins? He thought. What sect are you from? Ning asked. I don't have a sect. I'm a rogue cultivator who only focuses on cultivation, he said. And you don't earn money? Ning asked. Only what is required for daily living, the man said. FCK. What should I do now? Ning frowned. He could just say that he wouldn't help him and the man could find other ways to pay, but that would make Elder Neil win, and if he did decide to pay for the man, that would make Elder Neil rich. Both outcomes he didn't want to happen. FCK it, here goes nothing, Ning said and did the only option that was left for him. Your 7 coins are enough, don't worry. Your treatment only cost 6 gold coins. Just hand them over to Elder Neil and you can leave, Ning said. What are you talking about, Attendant Neil? Elder Neil got angry. Please teach me if I made any mistakes, Elder Neil, Ning said, making himself look innocent. You said my treatment costs 6 gold coins? Are you trying to bankrupt me? Elder Neil asked. Certainly not. I was just telling the patient exactly how much the treatment cost, Ning said. The man with the broken arm was catching on to the subtle feud between them by now and got curious himself. Physician Neil, how much did you say my treatment cost? He asked. 10 gold coins, Elder Neil said with an air of haughtiness. Then why does your attendant say it costs 6 gold coins? He asked. He doesn't know what he is saying. This is his first time working in the guild, so he is a little confused about everything, Elder Neil said. Is that so? Would you mind telling me the costs of everything involved then, if you don't mind, the man said. Elder Neil frowned a little, but still said, very well. Of the 10 gold coins 8 come from the ingredients, and the next 2 from labor charges. The man then turned to Ning and asked, young man, why did you say it costs 6 coins? He asked. It's simple actually. He was right about the 2 gold coin labor costs, but the ingredients only cost 4 coins. Blazing Chicken's feathers cost 12 copper coins, Spirit Pear's vine cost 2 silver coins, Demon Caterpillar's precious silk costs 13 silver coins, 18 silver for ground-up tetraheaded snake's skins, 8 copper coins for hanging tree's sap, and 5 silver coins for upside-down gourd water. For a total of 4 gold coins, Ning said. Elder Neil was dumbfounded. How the hell does a newbie know the exact price of the ingredients, he angrily thought. Don't listen to him, he's a newbie. He doesn't know anything about the market, Elder Neil frantically said. Is he wrong about the ingredients? The man asked. Why yes, of course. He named all the ingredients wrong, Elder Neil said. Oh, Then why did you say that he didn't know anything about the market when you should have instead said that he got the ingredients wrong? The man asked. That. Elder Neil couldn't come up with an explanation. The man said nothing more and took out 6 gold coins and handed them to the elder. He then turned to Ning and nodded before leaving through the doorway. Ning smiled and followed the man as he and Samad took the man all the way to the registration hall. Only after reaching there did he finally speak. "Thank you, young man. If not for you, I would have been swindled out of my hard-earned money today," he said. "It's fine. I couldn't stand and see such an injustice being done in front of my eyes," Ning lied. "FCK that old man. He got what he deserved," he thought internally. "You can go back to your job. I will be here for a little longer. I will complain to the old man to the guild and see if something happens." "Thank you once more," he said. "It's fine. I was just speaking up what I knew," Ning said and watched the man go to the registration to file the complaint. Only then did Samad finally come up to Ning and said, "Brother Ning, you should not have done what you did. Elder Neil can be a little bad at times, but going against him was not a good idea. Especially if you ever want to become a physician yourself." "Huh? What do you mean I can't become a physician?" Ning asked in surprise. "Elder Neil is one of the 3 judges who are responsible for testing the physician's knowledge. They can also influence your chances of becoming a volunteer, but not as much," Samad said. "Really, FCK?" Ning started to worry, but quickly put his worries aside. His anger was higher than his worries for now. "Whatever, I will just have to show them my medical prowess when I go take the volunteer exam tomorrow," Ning said. "Volunteer exams only take place once a month. The last one took place about a week ago," Samad said in a monotonous voice. "Oh, really? All right then, I will show them my medical prowess when I go take the volunteer exam in 3 weeks," Ning said. Samad just shook his head and returned to the elder's room and Ning followed behind. As soon as he entered, however, Ning got a little fearful of the atmosphere. Elder Neil was letting his chi wander around recklessly and Ning's body was reacting to that. FCK. Just how strong is the... he thought. He didn't dare check the cultivation realm just in case it was too high and he would get mentally hurt. From the feeling alone, however, Ning could tell that the old man was in the foundation establishment realm. "Damn, this is scary," he thought but showed no fear on his face. "Ho ho ho. You think you are some invincible being, don't you, brat? Very well, let's see how long you can stay in the Physicians Guild. I will make sure to make your life hell," the old man said. Ning didn't back down against the threat. "Go ahead. I will wait for this supposed hell," he said. Throughout the day, multiple different patients came in and out of the guild looking to get treated and Elder Neil got a lot of patients. However, he no longer swindled them out of money as Ning would be looking at the ingredients very carefully. He tried to do so once and Ning immediately corrected him, leaving him a little red on the face. At the end of the day, Elder Neil swore that Ning would rather wish to be in actual hell than what was coming for him. Ning went back to this cottage in the sect for the night. It felt good finally resting after a tiresome day. He started cultivating and very soon, night turned to morning. Once he got out of cultivation, he checked the beast space to see what was happening. He couldn't see any difference in night, but the beetle had started laying a sort of cocoon around it. The cocoon wasn't fully made and would still take some time to build, but that still surprised Ning. Is that how it evolves? He wondered. Quickly he forgot about those things and looked forward to another day at the guild. That old man said he would make my life hell, didn't he? I'm curious to see how, he thought. He walked out of his room and went to the physician's hall. At the registration hall, he asked the person who he was attending this day, and was given a room. He walked to the room and entered. Inside was a relatively young man, who seemed a little too fidgety. What's going on here? Ning thought. Hello, Physician Ula, I am your attendant for the day, Ning, he said as he introduced himself. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't see you there. Please come on in, the physician said. According to the man at the registration who assigned him the physician for the day, this man was actually a newbie physician who only passed the test 3 days ago and was starting for the first time today. Is this going to be a problem though? He wondered. Soon, something vibrated in his storage bag. It was the talisman notifying him of a patient's arrival. Ning had come to learn that the squiggly lines of the talisman weren't any language and simply just provided information directly to the cultivator's mind. A patient is here. I will go get them, Ning said and left the room. He walked to the front of the registration hall and saw a little girl with a face full of weird rashes and little lumps filled with blood and pus. She is your patient today, the man at the registration said. He seemed to be a little cold today. Please come, Ning said as he took the little girl and her guardian through the hall to Physician Ula. He opened the door and let them in. Ula turned around and saw the disgusting face of the little girl and nearly vomited. Holy, has he not seen blood and gore or what? How is he even a physician? Ning wondered. Doctor, please check my little sister. She suddenly came down with this rash 2 days ago. We waited the whole day yesterday to see if it would go away, but it just kept on getting worse, the guardian said. I see, Ula said and started checking the little girl. He showed the signs of him being a newbie and the guardian started to worry. Ning was curious about her condition too, so he went a little closer to check as well. He looked for a while and quickly realized what the problem was. He watched Ula working hard to figure out the cause but being unable to, so he decided to help a little. Did your sister come into contact with anything unusual recently? He asked. No, nothing unusual, the brother said. Nothing? Not even some insects or any plants that might be poisonous? He asked. I don't, Eli. Did you come in contact with any plants or insects recently that you haven't seen before? He asked his sister. The little girl started thinking. 3 days ago when I went to the outer parts of the forest to collect firewood, I saw a really pretty flower I hadn't seen before, she said. Did you touch it? Her brother asked. Yeah, but only once. I threw it away after the thorns stabbed me a little, the girl said. Hearing this, Ula's eyes shinned a little. Little girl, can you tell this uncle what the flower looked like? He asked. It was this big, she said, making a small shape with her hands full of rashes and lumps. And, its color was like that, she said, pointing to a purple lining on Ula's clothing. Anything else you can remember about this flower? Ula asked. It had tiny hands coming out from the inside, she said. Hellspawn orchid, Ula said in realization. Attendant Ning, get me my slab, he said. Ning smiled and nodded. He quickly took out the stone slab for the physician and gave it to him. Ula began to bring out different ingredients and started crushing them. Instead of a paste, however, he made a powder using them. He separated the powder into 2 different parts and put them on separate paper before folding it. Make her drink one of these today mixed with a glass of water, and another one tomorrow morning as soon as she wakes up. That should be enough, Ula said. Thank you, doctor. And the price? He asked. It's 4 gold coins, Ula said. That's 5 silver coins higher than the actual price, but whatever. He's not as bad that Elder Neil who would take 4 entire gold coins in excess, Ning thought. The man paid the 4 gold coins and left the room after thanking Ula. Ning walked them to the outside and returned back to Ula. Thank you back there. I was really scared I would mess up my first time and couldn't properly examine the girl, Ula said. It's fine. I understand it's your first day. You will need some time to get used to it, Ning said. Yes. Here, please take this as a thank you, Ula said as he handed him something. Ning walked forward to see what it was and it turned out that he was giving him 5 silver coins. What's this for? Ning asked. You helped me, didn't you? If not for you I wouldn't have figured out what the problem was, so as a thank you, I am giving you what extra I took from the patients. Although, I probably shouldn't have taken 5 silver coins and just given you something from my own pocket, Ula said. Ning smiled at the response. The rest of the day, Ning had to help him a few times here and there, but Ula was mostly competent at his job. By the end of the day, he had lost his nervousness at work and was finally starting to act like an actual physician. Ning went back to his cottage to cultivate for another day and rest. Over the next few days, Ning kept getting put with seemingly incompetent physicians, not because they didn't know what they were doing, but due to other factors. Some were new, some were very old, some were way too arrogant for their own good, and some just didn't like working so they would try to lengthen out each patient for more than an hour. The registration hall on the other hand kept sending disgusting-looking or very gory patients straight to any physicians that were attending him. He didn't even have to guess to know that it was all the old man Neil's work. Bastard, just 2 more weeks and I will stop having to do this, Ning thought. Today was his day off. He only had to work 6 days a week, and on the 7th day, he could go to the learning hall to learn new things. Today, Ning wanted to see if there was anything interesting in there, so he went ahead and checked it out. There were elders in big halls giving speeches, teaching people about different things. Ning stood down to listen for a few minutes before realizing that there was nothing to know there that he already didn't know. So, he walked over to the books section where he looked through the different books. There were books here that were different from what he had learned in the library back in the sect, but he soon realized that the content was overall the same. There is no more content for me to learn in pure cleansing sect, is there, he thought. System. Show me knowledge of medical treatment for all diseases and poisons and whatnots in the planet Kumia, he said. Here is the medical knowledge required for the planet of Kumia. Basic medical knowledge of Kumia 36 million. Beginner's medical knowledge of Kumia 360 million. Intermediate medical knowledge of Kumia 3,600,000,000. Advanced medical knowledge of Kumia 36 billion. Omniscient medical knowledge of Kumia 360 billion. How much energy do I have? He said as he quickly checked the status and found out that he had around 7 billion energy right now. Most of it is just from chi, so I should get rid of it since it's useless. System. Buy the intermediate version, he said. Confirmed. Information flowed into his mind, more than he could have imagined. Soon, he learned that the pure cleansing sect barely knew 2% of the entire thing. I guess it's understandable. They are quite a low level in terms of cultivation, Ning thought. He also had to buy information on ingredients due to all the new names that were popping up in his mind that he knew nothing about. So, he spent another 2 billion energy on an intermediate version of the knowledge. After all of that was learned, he knew that he no longer had anything else to learn from the learning hall of the Physicians Guild. So, he walked over to the section of the learning hall where they took part in the exam and put his name in before going back to his cottage. Soon, he would become a volunteer too. Hello, brother. Who am I attending today? Ning asked the man at the registration hall. Let me check, the man said and started looking for something. Ning knew that this man was under the orders of Neil to give him some random physicians that would trouble him. Neil couldn't do anything directly or that would go against the rules of the guild, so he could only do such underhanded things. Ah, here it is. It's the physician in room 42, the man said. Room 42? No name? Ning was surprised. The man simply shook his head. Ning just left. Sigh, whatever. I've been here for 2 weeks already. It's not like I haven't seen every bad physician there's in the guild, Ning thought. Most of the physicians he worked under weren't even that bad in their work, only their professionalism. Throw me what you want, you old fart. Nothing will surprise me, Ning thought as he opened the door to room 42. And he was surprised. He had expected a lot of different physicians under who he could have been put, but he never expected this person to be here. Oh, it's good to see you here, Elder Neil. I'm surprised you wanted me as an attendant, Ning said. Haha, brat. How is life? Hellish yet? Elder Neil asked. Hell. I don't know what you are talking about. It's been as smooth as ever. Only the first day was a little bumpy, but other than that it's been amazing. I think I have you to thank for that, right? Ning said. You little, Elder Neil said in anger. Oh, wait for a second, Elder Neil. A patient is here, Ning said and left Elder Neil behind seething in anger. He walked to the registration hall and brought back the patient. The patient had a deep cut on their thigh, and Ning watched Elder Neil heal the wound. Damn, I can think of 5 ways to heal that wound, and all of those would cost not even half of what he is doing, Ning thought. Ever since he acquired the information, he had found the ways of healing in the Physicians Guild to be very inefficient. Ning just shook his head and kept on looking. Elder Neil couldn't swindle the patient with Ning here, so he had to give appropriate prices to the patients. Ning kept on bringing patients in and out throughout the day. Around late noon, Ning walked to the registration hall to get his next patient. When he reached, he saw a young woman with a bloated belly. A pregnant woman? Ning wondered. What is wrong, miss? Are you not feeling well? He asked. No, my stomach got this big suddenly and I don't know what to do, she said. Ning was a little confused. What are we supposed to do then? This is not an abortion clinic. Something could have been done if it was early, but at that stage, isn't that just murder? He wondered. Pissed. Ning turned around and looked at the man at the registration. What? He went close and asked. The man whispered in his ears something that shocked him. She's not pregnant. Huh? What? Ning was surprised. He looked back at the lady and saw that her entire body was fine, except for the bloated belly. If she's not pregnant then, it's not just a fart or sh*t, right? He wondered. Miss, you aren't pregnant? He asked. The girl blushed a little and said, no. Ning was curious now, but he couldn't check her yet. Come with me please, he said and made her follow him. On the way to the room, he checked her cultivation and realized that she was at the 5th chi condensation realm. That's quite high, he thought. Are you a rogue cultivator, or are you in any sect? Ning asked. I used to be part of the Eagle sect, but I left it a few months ago, she said. That rundown sect? It still has disciples? Ning asked. Haha, yes. The elders refuse to do any repairs at all and keep the sect as is. You should see the inside of the sect. There are giant pillars everywhere that look like they will fall with a single push, yet the elders vehemently tell us not to bother with them. At some point, the quality of life in there got so bad that I just had to leave, the woman said. Soon they reached the room and entered. Elder Neil saw the pregnant woman and got curious. Before he could even say something, Ning just went ahead and told him. She's got a big belly but is not pregnant, he said. Not pregnant? Neil looked at the woman curiously. Have you not done the deed? He asked. No, doctor, she said. Come here, let me check you, he said and called the woman over. Ning also curiously looked at the woman. Ning saw that she really wasn't pregnant. He kept looking at her trying to make sense of the situation. No answer immediately popped out, so he started to dig deeper into his knowledge. Elder Neil made her lift up her robes to show her stomach, and when she did, both Elder Neil and Ning were shocked. Her entire stomach had turned dark blue. Almost like someone had beat her up and left the bruises. However, from the uniformness of the color, they were both sure that this was not a case of physical abuse. Elder Neil was shocked because this was the first time in his life that he had seen a patient with such a case. He had no idea what was going on and didn't even know where to begin the treatment. So, he started asking random questions to figure out more of the situation. On the other hand, Ning was shocked too, but for a different reason entirely. He was shocked because he knew what the problem was with the woman's belly, and even better, he knew the treatment to the problem. Can you tell me when exactly this began? Was this recent? Elder Neil asked. I don't really know. I saw that it had turned this color only today while I was bathing myself. So I hurried here, she said. Did you eat anything, touch anything, or anything weird happened recently? Elder Neil asked. No, nothing of that sort. Am I not treatable, doctor? She asked worriedly. It's treatable, Ning said from the side. Elder Neil looked angrily after being cut off mid-sentence. Attendant Ning, please don't talk while I am talking to the patient. Okay, Elder Neil, Ning said. Yeah, like I was saying, I can be treated, the woman said with an excited face. She was preparing herself for the worst news possible, and somehow, she got very good news. Elder Neil got angry once more for being cut off, but let it be since it was the patient. He instead turned towards Ning and asked, You said she can be healed, right? Tell me, how it can be done. Sure, Elder Neil, he said. Lady, can you cultivate right now? Please expose your stomach while you do so. We will need to see, he said. Cultivate here? The woman wasn't ready for such a request. Yes, please. It's to see if our hypothesis is correct or not, Ning said. Oh, okay then, the lady said and sat down on the ground and started cultivating. For the first few minutes, nothing happened and Elder Neil even wanted to stop her. But soon, he saw that there was a dark spot appearing around her stomach that was previously untainted. What the? Elder Neil got out of his seat and went closer to check. It really is her cultivation technique. Lady, stop, he said. The lady stopped cultivating and asked, It's my cultivation. Do you know how to fix it now? She asked. Elder Neil still wasn't sure. Yes, we do, miss, Ning said and walked up to her. I will place my hands on your stomach and treat you now. Please prepare yourself, Ning said. Huh? You will? Not the doctor? She asked in surprise. Attendant Ning, what are you doing? Elder Neil asked. Ning didn't bother with Elder Neil and simply asked the woman, who suggested the idea for you to cultivate so we could see? Ning asked. Oh right, you did. All right then, please heal me, she said. All right, you will hear some loud sound, so prepare yourself, Ning said. The girl nodded and closed her eyes. Ning placed his hands on the lady's stomach and began the treatment. He used yin to sound conversion technique. A small buzz appeared from where he touched the lady. The buzz soon turned to a small hum, which started to accumulate and get louder. By the end, it was so uncomfortable that both the lady and the elder had to close their ears. Ning couldn't do that right now, but fortunately, his body was strong enough to endure such a loud sound. However, even then, his mind wasn't doing so great. He was starting to get a light headache that was annoying him. Damn, just how much yin qi did this lady gather? He thought. For some reason, The yin qi was leaving her body very slowly. The previous times he used this technique, all the yin qi in the surrounding would gather to his arm within seconds. Yet, now it was taking more than a few minutes for all the yin qi to leave. Elder Neil was looking at the whole procedure from start to finish and was surprised that she was actually getting healed. At first, he wondered what the young man was doing after hearing the small buzz, but soon he noticed that the black spot on the lady's stomach was disappearing. It started off very slow, but by the end, it was leaving her body at an extraordinary rate. Just what is this young man doing that is healing her? Did I miss some obvious information? Have I gotten so old that I don't even know what the problem is anymore? Elder Neil started questioning his own knowledge. Finally, the black spots were all gone. The intensely loud sound was still there, but that didn't stop the woman from nearly crying in happiness. Ning slowly stood up and backed away to the corner of the room. Yin to sound conversion technique only converted the yin qi to sound energy for the duration of the technique. If he managed to collect the sound energy during that time, it would disappear. However, if he didn't absorb it all and stop the technique, then it would immediately turn back to yin qi. And he couldn't let that happen near the lady. After walking far enough, he stopped using the technique. Immediately Ning stopped the technique and let the sound turn back to yin, as he sighed in relief for a task well done. However, when he saw that the yin qi didn't scatter away like usual and instead made a visible blackish-blue color in the air, he frowned. What's going on? Before he could even think anything, the blackish-blue floating qi suddenly attacked the closest body they found, Ning. They attacked Ning's right arm, which was floating in the midair, and started hurting him. Ah, he grunted as the pain started hitting him. His body was strong enough to be fine at that level of pain, but it still hurt him. What's going on? This is not normal yin qi. What is this? He thought. The yin qi started destroying his arm, and it hurt him a lot, but Ning wasn't going to let them do that any longer. He immediately started yin to sound once more to pull out the yin qi. As expected, they left his body and got turned to sound. The rate was still slow, but it was much faster than when he did it with the woman. But that was only a temporary option, he needed a permanent one. So, he started dancing. Ning could only think of a single way to remove the yin qi, and he did exactly that. Elder Neil and the lady watching him perform his dance and looked in puzzlement. The lady was curious as to why he would suddenly cry out in pain, only to start dancing immediately after. Elder Neil, on the other hand, was fuming with rage, seeing everything happening. Ning had not only cured the patient that was meant for him, but had now cried out in victory as well as was dancing in joy. His anger didn't let him see the real situation. As soon as he reached the climax of dancing, motes of lights were entering his body. So, he stopped the yin to sound conversion technique. The yin qi immediately entered his body once more and started attacking his body, but this time, there were defenders inside of him. The qi that destroyed any inkling of yin or yang qi were fighting furiously to destroy all the yin qi. While Sun God's morning cleansing technique no longer helped him cultivate his body, there were other applications for it. It took him a while, but soon all the yin qi were destroyed by the other qi. Ning finally stopped dancing and sighed with relief. Thank God I knew that technique, he whispered to himself. Are you finally done dancing? Elder Neil looked at him in anger. Oh yeah, he said. He then turned to the lady and said, since you are fine, let's leave. The payment? She asked. Ning looked at Elder Neil with a smile creeping on his face. It's free, he said. Wait, no, it will cost you money. You took my time and that costs money, Elder Neil hurriedly said. Oh, how much is it then, doctor? She asked. It's, 1 gold coin, Elder Neil said. He really couldn't say any higher price or he would get complained about once again. The girl took out a gold coin and left with Ning. Ning reminded her not to cultivate ever with that technique and returned back to the room. Elder Neil looked like a tomato with a face so red with anger that Ning nearly didn't recognize him. Ning waited for him to say something, but he just didn't speak. Holy sh*t, just how angry is he? He must be cooking up some God knows what plan in his mind right now, Ning thought. The rest of the day passed normally. People came, got treated, and were sent back. Elder Neil no longer spoke that day with Ning aside from simple orders. At the end of the day, Ning went back to his cottage. The rest of the week passed in the same way as the first two. He was made to attend the lesser-liked physicians, especially the arrogant ones that thought they could do no harm. Ning tried to stay out of trouble until the day of the exam and got into no extra drama. Finally, a week later, it was time for the volunteer exam. He had learned a few more things regarding volunteers during his free time and was fully ready for the exam. He walked into the exam hall early morning and saw that only a few others were there before him. More people started appearing and soon, the hall was full. After a few more minutes, a new elder walked in. Ning had never seen this elder before, which meant he was one of the better ones in the guild. I hope all of you are here by now. We will be starting the volunteering test soon. The elder took a stack of paper and passed it around the room. Alright, I will be asking questions, and you guys can simply write down your answers. You guys will have a minute to answer each question. If you cannot do it by then, you are just not good enough. I won't be waiting for anyone and will simply keep on giving out new questions, the elder said. Everyone nodded and got ready for the questions. Question 1. The patient has a broken arm. What do you do? The elder asked. The question was a simple one that anyone striving to be a volunteer could easily know. Send them to the physician, Ning jotted down. That was what the volunteers were made to do. Volunteers could only treat illnesses or conditions that did not require making different pastes or powders. They were also not allowed to treat big medical problems and would have to refer the patients to the physician. Time's up. Question 2. The patient has a problem in their upper chest. You notice a red spot right above their collarbone. What do you do? Question 3. The patient is a young man around 10 years of age and is suffering from headaches. You notice their eyes are sunken and their ears are slightly pale. What do you do? Question 7. This young lady has a back problem and doesn't know the cause of it. What questions do you ask to find out the answers? Question 10. A chi condensation realm cultivator comes in with pain on their arm. What procedure do you take to find out the cause? Question 15. A foundation establishment realm cultivator cannot collect chi anymore after breaking through. What is the cause? Questions came out of the examiner's mouth one after another, every single minute. Ning would listen to the question and come up with the best answer he could without giving away the fact that he had knowledge out of the sect as well. Soon, the elder asked the final question. And finally, question 25. A patient came in with a disease and you find out that it is highly contagious. What do you do? Ning nodded and quickly answered the question on his sheet of paper. Once a minute was passed, the elder asked everyone to stop writing and leave the room immediately. Ning made sure his paper had his name on it and left the exam hall. The results took an entire day to publish. During the day, Ning had to go and work as an attendant waiting for the results. Once more, Ning was put together with a female physician that was too good for her own sake. Every patient she encountered, she treated as if they were nothing but a question for her to answer regardless of their feelings. She would find the cause and lay it to them bluntly. Damn, does this physician not know about bedside manner? Ning wondered. She also treated him quite badly. He struggled through the day, trying not to get angry at her, and managed to pass the entire day without causing any incidents. Ah, finally. I get to see my results, he thought and went back to the learning hall. He along with all the different people who took their exam was once more brought back to the exam room. We have finished checking your answers and the results are out. The elder who took their exam was back. There are 10 people who passed the test amongst your whole group, the elder said. Only 10. There were over 200 people who took the tests though. That's quite a filter, Ning thought. I will now announce the names of the new volunteer, the elder said and started speaking out the different names of the new volunteers. Ning waited for his own name to arrive, and it didn't take long. As expected, he easily passed the test. The elders didn't bother telling them how many points they got or anything, however. The ones who didn't pass left dejectedly and vowed to do better, while Ning and the others were made to stay back to give some more information. The elder then told them how volunteering really worked. Aside from the medical aspects of it, they would be making no money on their own but would be earning points based on how many patients they are able to treat and to what level. Once enough points are accumulated, they could take one of the 3 exams required to become a physician. If they failed, the next exam would cost half the price. In total, one could get a maximum point of 5 from each patient and required 2,000 points to take the physical exam. I need 400 patients to give me 5 points, or 2,000 patients to give me 1 point just to get a chance to take a single exam. *T, Ning thought. The group of 10 was given a few more information before letting go for the day. Ning returned back to his cottage and decided to sleep for the first time in a while. Tomorrow was a big day. Early in the morning, Ning woke up and went to the Physicians' Guild. The volunteer section had its own entrance to the side, so Ning went there. He had been here before while roaming from the inside, but never from the outside. Whoa, he said in shock when he saw a line of people waiting to get treated. None of the people looked like they were badly injured or had any diseases, and were only here for minor problems. Ning walked in and soon found a room with his name on it. Sigh, we don't get our attendant huh? He thought as he remembered what was told yesterday. His job was to go in and wait. He wasn't given patients like the different physicians got and could only wait for them to come on their own. Ning waited and waited and waited but nobody arrived. Finally, his door opened at late noon as a man walked in and saw him. He then turned around to check the name on the board and said, "Sorry, wrong place," and walked out. Ning was left speechless. The rest of the day he got 0 people. Damn, this is hard, he thought. How'd I get people? He wondered. He went back to his cottage to think of different ideas. I probably need to be popular if I want to get more, but how? He wondered. I already work for free, so I can't reduce the price. I can't flaunt my knowledge without getting a chance in the first place. Should I promise 1 silver per person who visits me? No, if the guild finds out they may think I'm being unfaithful to the rules. I can't do that. So the only option left for me is to do something that doesn't exist in the guild yet, Ning thought. What doesn't exist yet? Ning thought for a while and tried to come up with new ideas. Finally, brilliance struck him. That's it. System, show me. He asked what he wanted and bought it from the system. New information appeared on his mind as he smiled at the new plan. Haha, this will work for sure, he thought. Then, he started cultivating once more. By now, his body had almost adapted to the chi on the planet and also was 1 step closer to the 7th chi condensation realm. He wasn't far off before he would be able to break through. His body cultivation was also at a similar level and would follow his chi cultivation soon after. As for his mental strength, it was increasing at a decent rate. Not amazing, but not bad either. Early morning, Ning woke up and left his cottage. However, he didn't go to the guild and instead went to the furniture shop to get what he needed. Once he got it, he returned to the volunteer hall. Under the gaze of the different people, Ning walked up to his room. However, instead of entering, he took off the sign with his name on it and started writing something else on top of it. Once he was done writing, he put the sign back in place and walked in. The people were stunned at the random act of one of the volunteers and went in to read what was written. When they did read it, however, they couldn't help but give out a single response. What? Hey, what does it say? People waiting in line for the volunteers to arrive asked the people in the front. I think you should read it yourself, the people in the front said. What is it? The people walked forward to read. Ning, volunteer, and massage expert. What? Massage in the Physicians Guild? Is this volunteer a little, in his head? People started wondering just what the hell was going on in here. They even started wondering if this was a prank. Actually, my back has been hurting for a while now. I will go and see what it is all about, one man said in the crowd. What? Are you stupid? If you go back to take your volunteer coupons, you will have to go all the way back of the line. Don't you want to get what you came here fixed first? Another person. Actually, I came for my back pain. If it's solved then I won't have to get another volunteer coupon at all, the man said. Oh, if that's the case then go ahead. Take the risk for all of us, the other person said. The man with back pain slowly went ahead and opened the door to the volunteer's room. Ning was waiting for the first person to arrive. He had already set up the bed he bought from the furniture store this morning and was ready for his first patient or customer. Suddenly, the door opened. Ning quickly turned his head to see a man entering the room. Finally, someone is here, he thought. What can I help you with? Ning asked. I saw the massage thing back there, and my back has been hurting for quite a while, so I thought. The man said. Ah, yes. I do massages. Please lie down here on the bed, Ning said as he showed the man the new bed he had bought. The man nervously walked up to the bed and stopped, turning around one last time before asking, do I need to, take off my clothes? He couldn't hide his nervousness at all. Your wish, Ning said with a smile. The man decided to take off his robe and showed the upper half of his body, before laying on the bed on his stomach. Ning walked up to the man while flexing his fingers and put all of his fingers on the man's back before asking, are you ready? The man replied in confirmation. Ning spoke nothing else and started his technique, then 10-finger heavenly massage technique. This was a technique he bought from the system for 450 million energy, so it was one of the best massage techniques available to him right now. 5 fingers on the right hand and 5 fingers on the left hand all flew out and hit the man all over his back in specific spots at a specific amount of force. They were never light enough to do nothing but were also never strong enough to hurt. The finger strength was perfect. Ah! The man moaned in pleasure as all the pain and fatigue he was feeling up to now melted just as snowflakes melted in the heat of the summer. The man felt so good that he wanted to just fall asleep right now. This kept on going for a few minutes, and after 5 minutes Ning stopped. Doctor, what happened? The man asked lazily. The treatment is over. Please check if you still have that pain in your back, Ning asked. Oh my god, it's gone. Haha, the pain is gone, the man cried out in happiness. It seems you have been healed. May I ask a rating on the volunteer coupons? Ning asked. Sure. Here. 5 points for sure. You are an amazing doctor, the man said in excitement. Haha, thank you for that, Ning said with an amicable smile. On the inside, he was giddy at getting a 5 points so easily. I will come tomorrow too, doctor, the man said and left. Sure, come Aga. Wait tomorrow. But I just healed you, Ning said, but the man had already left. Outside, the man walked out with a straight posture and a big smile on his face. Hey brother, wait, come here, someone called him. Oh, it's you. What's up? The man asked. Where are you going? To get another coupon, the other man asked. What? No, I'm going home. I'm done for the day, the man said. What? What about your back pain then? The other man asked. Haha, it's fully healed. You should go to that volunteer too if you have some physical pain. His massages are honestly out of this world, the man said and left. Is he joking or telling the truth? The man didn't understand. Still, he wasn't going to take a risk and go to an unknown volunteer. Roser was one of the most popular volunteers right now and had helped hundreds if not thousands of people. He was the one most people lined up for because they knew that if they went to him, they would definitely be healed. So, the man was lining up for Roser as well. He looked ahead at the line and saw what would essentially be the end of the day. Even when he came so early in the morning, his turn would come late at night. He looked at Ning's open queue and wondered if he should go there as well. His problem was his knees hurting, which wasn't that worse than the previous man, so he deliberated. No, I'm already here. I will stay for Dr. Roser, he thought and stayed in the line. He waited for the entire day for his turn, but in the end, he was missed by a few people. If he had come early, he could have made it. Sigh, tomorrow for sure, he thought and went home. Early morning, he came back once more and got in line. This time he was a little late, and he definitely wouldn't make it. Sigh, another day of no treatment, the man started worrying. Should I just go back and come tomorrow? He wondered as he looked at the many people that were already gathered there. Suddenly, he saw someone. Oyu, he called out. The other man looked back and said in surprise, oh hey brother, what are you doing here? Didn't you get treated yesterday? No, I was a little late yesterday. What about you? Didn't you say you were already treated? The man asked. Oh yeah. I just brought my wife for the massage and thought I would get one too at the same time, the other man said. What? You are here for the massage and not the treatment? The man asked. The massage is the treatment too. However, even if it wasn't, I would come here every day just to get massaged. Honestly, that was the best 5 minutes of bliss I have ever felt, the other man said. The man looked in shock and was about to ask something when the other man suddenly turned to the side. Oh, Dr. Ning is here, he said and walked up to a woman before following Ning to his room. The man stood there dumbfounded at what had just happened. He waited in line for about 10 minutes, after which the two couples finally came out of the room, both with smiles as big as their own face. What the hell? Is it really that good? He wondered. He turned to the side and looked at the long line of people for Dr. Roser and thought, FCK it, here goes nothing, and limped to Ning's room. Ning was surprised to see the same man from yesterday come back once again, but he wasn't going to complain about it. He simply massaged them as requested and took the 2 5 points coupons with him. Sigh, will others come to? Suddenly, the door opened and a man limped inside. Hello, Dr. Ning. May I come in? He asked. Yes, please come in. What can I help you with? Ning asked. You see, my right leg has been hurting for a while and I heard that you could heal it through massage. Is that true? He asked. I will have to check if the problem lies in your body. If it does, then I can certainly help you, Ning said. Then, he started checking the place where it hurt the most and figured out that it had something to do with a trapped nerve on the man's back. Massage would be useful here. Please, lay on the bed, he said and prepared. The man laid down without taking his clothes, but Ning could easily handle that. Once everything was ready, he used the 10 fingers heavenly massage technique to thoroughly massage the man's body for 5 minutes. He started from the neck and shoulders and went all the way up to the heels. Finally, after 5 minutes, he stopped. What's wrong, doctor? The man asked. He was unable to tell the passing of time and could only come out of what he would call absolute bliss after it had stopped.
Oh, the treatment is done. You can get up now, Ning said.
Oh, the man said in disappointment and got off the bed. He landed on his good foot and slowly stepped with his hurting one. At first, he thought his mind was playing games when the pain didn't suddenly flare up. But slowly, he realized that he was actually healed. My pain is gone. Ha, my pain is gone, doctor. My leg is fine. Thank you, Dr. Ning. The man started to cry after seeing that he could no longer feel the pain anymore.
It's okay. You are healed now. Please rate me on your coupon and you can leave, Ning said. The man furiously nodded and gave him a 5-point on the coupon. Ning was happy.
Please tell the others about me if you can. Thank you, Ning said and saw the man out. He then returned back to his seat inside. I got 3 today. That's 2 more than yesterday, he thought. He waited for a while and nobody came, so he decided to just cultivate for the day when suddenly. Knock knock, there was someone at the door. Ning looked and saw a young man at the door and called him in. What can I help you with? He asked. I heard you can treat back pain and leg pain very fast, is that true? The young man asked. If the problem is physical then yes, Ning said. Oh, my back has been hurting for quite a while, can you check it? The person asked. Sure, Ning said and got to work. After 5 minutes, the man stood up with no more back pain. He happily gave 5 points on the coupon and left. Ning was happy and decided to wait for more when another person came in. That was fast. Was he waiting for someone to leave? Ning wondered but didn't say anything. He quickly called the person in and started treating them as well. The man's arm was in pain, which he quickly fixed. Afterward, he took the 5 points coupon and let the man leave. As soon as the man left, another man came in. Am I popular now? Ning wondered. He quickly welcomed the incoming patient and started healing them. Once one left, another returned. During the entire day, nearly 100 people came by the time he was done for the day. So, he walked out of the door to see hundreds of people in line. They all got disappointed when they saw him leave. Whoa, so many. Ning was surprised to see the horde of people line up to enter his room. I will be here tomorrow morning. Please come back at that time, Ning said and said his goodbyes before leaving. He was done for the day. Roser walked out of his volunteer room early evening to go back to his home. He had a head full of half white and half black hair, and it showed his age of late 30s. Today's volunteer work had ended, so he was leaving. He opened the door expecting to see a lot of people, but there weren't that many. That's odd. Why are the people so low in amount all of a sudden? It's been constantly decreasing for the last 5 days, he wondered. At first, he thought that it was a coincidence that people were low, but now, he was sure something was up. So, he finally decided to go check. He hadn't walked much further when he saw a truly massive queue of people. He was surprised that a volunteer had more patience than him. After all, he had been working here for the last 4 years and had been deemed the best for over a year now. Who is this volunteer? He walked a little forward to check. Hey, don't cut lines. Go to the back, someone shouted at him. What? He was a little taken aback. Go ba, oh, wait, is that you, Dr. Roser? The man suddenly got meek after realizing who he was. Yes. Can you tell me who the volunteer is and why there are so many still lined up for him? Roser asked. Oh, you don't know about Dr. Ning? He is one of the best volunteers here. His massages take care of your body aches at once. Also, he is very fast and only takes around 5 minutes per person. So, everyone is staying here to get a chance to go in, the man said. Massages. A volunteer doing the work of a masseur? Patooey, since when did volunteers get so lowly, Roser thought. You guys can go back home. It's already late for today, Roser suggested. Oh no, Dr. Ning stays for 2 extra hours every day. We still have time for 24 more people to get treated, the man said. What? 2 extra hours? Is he trying to kill himself? How did such a person pass the volunteer test? Roser just shook his head and left. The next day was his break, so he only returned the day after. He was in the volunteer hall by 7 in the morning, but there was a long line of people already. However, the thing that surprised him the most was that the queue for him was barely any, while the queue for this newcomer Ning was beyond what he had ever seen. In fact, Ning was actually taking patients away from all the volunteers working. "Hey you, what is happening here? Why are so many people here?" Roser asked. He wondered if something had changed in the one day he had gone away. "Don't you know, Dr. Ning's massages are the best," the man said. "That's it." Roser sighed and went to work. He started treating patients at his own pace, but after a while, the patients just stopped coming. What the hell is happening? Roser wondered and got out only to find that almost every single person was lining up for Ning. The ones that came for everyone else had already been checked and left, while Ning's line was only growing longer. Roser saw other volunteers coming out of their room, angry as well. So, he decided to complain to the management. He went around and gathered the different volunteers and went to see the president of the Physician Guild himself. After a while, they all came out happy at a task successfully done and went back to their own rooms waiting for it all to be over. Ning had been happy the past few days. For nearly a week now, he had been continuously getting patients who looked for treatments with massages, so he was getting a solid inflow of 5 points coupons. "I already have about 1,000 coupons right now. I just need to do this for one more week and I can get one of the exams easily done," he thought as he performed the 10 fingers heavenly massage technique of an old woman who came in complaining about her back pain. He knew that was just bullshit, however. They all just wanted a massage and kept lying about random pains. He had once seen the same man come in twice in a single day. Some were repeated patients as well. But he didn't care. As long as he was getting a steady supply of coupons he needed to become a physician, he was okay with it. After finishing the massage for the old woman, he sent her out and waited for another patient. A middle-aged man with a bald head walked in. "How may I help? Are you a patient?" Ning asked after seeing the man. "No, I am not. I am from the management team of the Physicians Guild. May I ask what you are doing here?" the man asked Ning. "Me? I am treating the people as per usual. They come in here with troubles and leave without it," Ning said. On the inside, however, he was screaming. "FCK. I knew it was going to be good to last forever. They're already here to shut down the thing. Damn it, they couldn't let it go for a week longer. I would have been a step closer to becoming a physician," Ning thought. "I heard your services are not entirely what a volunteer should be doing. It seems we heard correctly. Mr. Ning Ruogang, I cannot tell you if what you are doing is wrong or right. That is not my job. You can ask your own moral judgment for that. What is my job is making sure all the volunteers get at least a few patients during the day so that they can do something. As such, I am hereby ordering you to stop all massages services in this establishment aside from for the ones that truly needs it. Please decide that on your own. If we get the same complaint another time, we will be forced to revoke your volunteer status, understood? Yes, your problem is that you slept on your arm all night, so it hurts for now. Just let it be a few more hours and it will go back to normal," Ning said. "Huh? Doctor, please, I need a massage for my arm," the patient said. "I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I am no longer allowed to give out massage to people who do not require it. Thank you for coming. Please give me your volunteer coupons," Ning asked. "FCKU doctor," the man shouted and handed Ning a 1-point coupon. Ning sighed. This had been the norm for the last 3 days since he had to stop the massage services. He had told his patients that there would no longer be any massaging done aside from the ones who truly need it, and that had left a lot of them angry. Some of them had been waiting there for days and suddenly not getting the thing they came for, they started leaving in drove. Some still wished that he could secretly do it for them and went in, but once they were told no, they left feeling angry and bitter. Ning honestly didn't like the atmosphere anymore. Now that he wasn't doing massages, people also stopped coming to him anymore. He waited for 2 more hours and only 3 people came in, where only one had a serious problem, while the other 2 were just looking to get massages. Once they were gone, nobody else came. Ning arrived the next day, hoping to get some more patients than yesterday at least, but even then there were none. The next 2 days were the same. Just an empty day where the patients adamantly denied coming to his place anymore. So, the next day, Ning decided to take a small break. It was his day off, so he went to the forest to hunt some beasts and let off some steam. Knight and the beetle were both still in evolution. Knight's progress seemed to be going nowhere, but he was patient with it. Just in case, he had also increased Knight's beast space to 200 kilograms. On the other hand, the beetle had gone into its cocoon. Ning didn't know when exactly, but very soon, it would come out as an evolved beast. That would be a fun thing to see, Ning thought. His bald head and robes were a clear identity for him, so nobody stopped him when he was walking around the town. Thankfully, nobody looked at him close enough to recognize who he was. He made his way to the forest and went deeper into it. Along the way, he found a few beasts, but with his nearly 7th Shi condensation realm cultivation base, those beasts looked very weak, so he went even deeper. Finding anything stronger than a 5th Shi condensation realm monster was very hard in the forest even when one walked deep, so instead of going deep towards the center, Ning started walking deeper towards the shores where he doubted people would go regularly. He ran to reach this place and soon, Ning found a beast worth fighting. A little ahead of him, on the tree was a massive coiled and camouflaged python that was staring directly at Ning. If he hadn't randomly seen it, he might have gotten attacked just now. Oh, a tree-fading python, huh? They're quite low on rankings, but I should be careful of their bites, he thought. He quickly checked the cultivation base and realized that it was actually an 8th Shi condensation realm monster. Whoa, I thought most of them were dead. Glad to see they're not, Ning thought and brought out his blood-red spear. The python was 2 realms higher than him, so he had to be careful. He was strong, but he didn't know exactly how much. So, he started using the best fighting technique he had with the spear, the revolving spear technique. At the same time, he used the hypnotizing dance, but it barely worked on the python. While Ning was slowly gaining power with his spear, the python was creeping upon him. Once it was close enough, it immediately leapt towards Ning. Ning was ready for the attack and immediately brought around his swinging spear and hit the python right in the jaw. With the slight attack, the python missed Ning and immediately curled back around. But by that time, Ning was already hitting its exposed body with his spear. He spun the spear around, hitting the snake's body with the tip each time around. The spinning motion added energy to it that couldn't otherwise be added normally. Ning saw the python wrap back around and jumped immediately. Suddenly, he also saw the python attacking him with its tail. He easily dodged that too. He landed near the python's lower half and started attacking it too. His anger and frustration at the fact that he could no longer get patience, and even when he did, he only got 1-star coupons, were coming out. He was here to take them all out, and he did. Each hit released his pain and frustration. He had realized by now that he could beat the snake at any moment, but he didn't. Instead, he kept on hitting it all over its body while constantly dodging it. It was never even a fight. In the end, the snake died due to having too many wounds. FCK, that wasn't enough, he thought. He needed something better. He walked around looking for different beasts but managed to find none that were worth fighting against. With even 8th Shi condensation realm monsters dying with ease, he needed something better. Suddenly, he heard something. You idiots! We need to find them once more, they ran around here somewhere. As soon as he heard that, Ning's ears perked up and he started smiling. But very soon, that smile turned evil as he turned around to look at the man that was not far from him. Finally, it's time for my revenge. Yashis had been looking for a family of monster beasts for his father's work, so he was here with his attendants looking for them. Damn it, where did they go? They were just here, one of his men said. I know, find them quick, he ordered. The 5 attendants and their young master searched around, looking for the monsters, but they still couldn't find them. They had completely lost the monsters. You idiots! We need to find them once more, they ran around here somewhere, he said. He was about to say something else, but then he saw someone standing a little far away from him, with a head with no hairs and a completely evil smile. With all the amicable smile he had seen all around the city, the contradicting look on this healer's face looked akin to a murderer. Who are you? Yashis asked. Ning's smile got even colder as he asked, you don't remember me? The people were a little confused until, is that Dr. Ning from the volunteer hall? One of the people recognized. Oh yeah. Now that I look closely, it is, another person said. Yashis was a little confused and was about to say no when he remembered the voice. The voice of the one person that had terrified him the most. He had had nightmares because of this person. He looked at the face more closely, and his eyes started to grow wide. The man next to Yashis was the one that had helped him escape last time and also knew this man quite well. The other four, however, were quite oblivious as to the current situation. "Take the young master and run," the man shouted, surprising anyone in the process. He immediately took out his sword and got ready to fight. Yasis realized what he had to do as well. He threw caution to the wind and started running away as fast as he could. The four attendants didn't know what to do but decided to follow the young master as the situation seemed quite dire. "Why are we running from Doctor?" one of them asked. "That is no doctor, you idiots. That man is the murderer that killed my previous attendants," Yasis shouted. Ning watched Yasis run away, but that was fine. They were so deep in the jungle that he could easily kill the man in front of him and catch up to the runaways at any time. "You are not getting away this time," the man in front of him shouted. "Ah, it seems you are quite unaware of how this is going to go. You see, I am going to kill you, and then I will go kill your young master. That should be the proper consequences for what you guys did last time, no?" Ning asked. You monster. You already killed so many of your people, and you are still not done?" the man asked. "As long as the main culprit is alive, I will not be done," he said. As soon as he was finished, he took out the blood-red spear and went on the offensive. Ning made some simple swings to test the sword but soon realized that it was no spirit artifact like the last man's who he had killed. This was going to be easy and he was getting excited. His eyes got a little red as his lust for killing surfaced. His maniac-like face changed to something completely unrecognizable because of it. The man looked at him scared. He was sure that he would lose against this man, but he stood there to fight. Yashis's father was his benefactor, and he would do anything to protect his child. "Yah!" he shouted and rushed forward to do a swing, but Ning simply dodged and cut his on the side of his arm with a spear. It was only with the tip of the spear, so the cut wasn't that big, but it still took away some of the man's fighting ability. "Arg!" he grunted as the left arm holding the sword got a little weaker. The blood ran across his arm until it dripped from his elbow, but he didn't drop the sword. Once again, he charged forward to attack, but Ning simply parried it with his spear and made another similar-sized cut right above the previous cut. He then swung the spear back and slammed the sword that was just parried and bent it in half. The man immediately threw the sword away and tried to take out another sword from his storage bag, but Ning attacked once more, cutting the man's right arm in the process. "Arghh!" the man shouted this time, letting go of any sense of reservations as the fear consumed him. He forgot about his gratitude and the need to protect his young master. So, he just turned around and ran. "Sigh, you people are the same," Ning thought and held his spear with one arm, almost as if it were a javelin. He then stretched his arm as far back as he could and threw the spear at the man. The spear left his hand with a sonic boom and in the blink of an eye, pierced through the man's head and stuck to a tree far away. The man fell down to the ground as blood gushed out of the gaping hole in his skull. He was dead. Ning felt no remorse at the scene. He instead started feeling happy, a little too happy at the fact that he managed to kill the man. He walked forward and pulled the spear out of the tree. It was stuck halfway into the tree. He then looked towards the direction Yasis had run to and said, "Teleport me a kilometer in that distance," confirmed. Ning found himself at a different location suddenly and looked around. He wanted to find the running people, but he didn't have to, they were right there. A little behind Ning, Yasis and the gang looked at the person who had just appeared in front of them with a dripping blood-red spear and immediately started to get scared. Yasis knew that this was his end. Yasis fell back down to the ground in fear as he looked at Ning, who had also caught sight of him. Ning immediately smiled and started walking towards them. Yasis left the group of four behind and once more ran in a completely different direction. The four men were standing there in fear, looking at the doctor in front of them. The bald head with the blood-red spear and a fearsome face did not match what they were used to. Ning didn't bother with four and directly teleported on top of Yasis and kicked him on the side of his chest. Yasis flew to the side uncontrollably and fell to the ground after hitting a tree. Ning slowly spun his spear as the blood on it flew to the side. He then started walking once more. Yasis got up and saw him coming closer and looked around for his attendants, but they were far away. In his moment of carelessness, he had left them behind. In desperation, he immediately brought out 4 different beasts from his monster pouch. Aside from the iron gorilla and green reaper mantis, he had also managed to tame a flaming-tailed lion and a poison-horned rhino. Ning looked at the 4 beasts and smiled. None of them were above the 5th chi condensation realm. In fact, even Yasis himself was only at the 6th chi condensation realm. This is going to be easy, Ning thought and walked forward. The iron gorilla rushed forward to attack, but Ning simply used one true spear strike to destroy part of the gorilla's head at once, killing it. The mantis rushed at him with its scythe-like arms and attacked him. Ning simply caught both of the scythes with his bare arms. It cut his palms a little, but not enough to be of any worry. Another one true spear strike and the mantis was dead too. The rhino rushed at him with its horn. Ning didn't budge and instead got lower to dodge the horn but attacked the rhino with his shoulder. The rhino was instead thrown backward and fell on its back. It couldn't get up anymore and started waving its legs in the air, trying to flip back. With its stomach exposed, Ning easily killed the monster. He then used air cutter to cut the rhino's horn from the base and hovered in midair with telekinesis before hitting it hard with his spear. The horn went flying up towards Yashis, but the flaming-tailed lion jumped in to protect him and instead got hit square in the head. The hit wasn't strong enough to kill the lion, but the poison in the rhino's horn was. Purple veins appeared on the lion's forehead as the poison started spreading to its entire body. Soon, the lion was frothing at the mouth and fell to the ground, dead. Now it was just Ning and Yashis. What are you going to do now? Run away again and complain to the elders? Ning mocked him. Please spare me. I will give you whatever you want. My father is very rich and I can give you tons of flying beasts. Why you want money? I can give that to you too. Yashis started bargaining for his life. That is tempting. Although, I'm sure there is something better I can get from you right now, Ning said. What? Yashis asked. Your screams, Ning said with an evil smile and made a cut on Yashis's thighs. Yashis cried out in pain as blood wet his entire thighs within seconds. That's not the sound I wanted to hear, Ning said as he made another cut on top on the same wood at a different angle. Yashis screamed harder. There it is, Ning said. His bloodlust was higher than ever. Swiftly, he made 3 more cuts all over the thighs of Yashis. The sound he made was incredible. Ning wasn't sure people could even make a sound so loud. He was reveling in joy when the sound stopped coming. He looked down to see that Yashis had fainted. He got down and slapped his face a few times and woke him up. As soon as he woke up, he cried once more and started to faint again. System, heal him, he said. Suddenly, all wounds on Yashis's body were healed within a matter of seconds. Feeling the pain go away, Yashis looked at his body. What is happening? He asked. Nothing, I just healed you, Ning said. Why? Before Yashis could even finish the sentence, another slice appeared on his body. Because you fainted. I wanted to hear more screams, Ning said. Learning what was happening, Yashis fainted once more. What? Hey, wake up. Ning slapped him a few more times, but he didn't wake up any longer. It, he thought and swung his spear right to left, decapitating Yashis in a single swing. Blood spurted out from the headless stump and the body fell down to the ground. He heard screams from somewhere else. Oh yeah, those guys, Ning thought as he looked towards the 4 attendants. He walked over to them and looked at their frightened state. You people know who I am, don't you? He asked. Why yes. You're Dr. Ning, a volunteer from the Physicians Guild. We have stayed in line for your massage too, one of them said. Oh, you do? Well, that is bad for you. Now that you know who I am, keeping you alive is just more problems for me, he said, and slowly an evil smile appeared on his face. No, please don't kill us. We didn't do anything. We are just doing a job, and he is already dead. Please let us go. I promise we won't tell anyone anything. We will just go to another city in the Scattered Isles. The men started begging for their lives. That would be good, but unfortunately, I can't trust you lot. No, please spare us, the people started screaming. But Ning didn't care. He was already in the mood of killing and didn't see any problems with killing a few more people. Warning. System does not condone violence against the innocents. Well, I can't help it. They know who I am, so they need to go, Ning said with clear bloodlust in his eyes. The men were still screaming for mercy when Ning rose his spear. Warning. Killing innocents is highly condemned by the system. Sorry system. They gotta go this time, it's nothing personal. Final warning. System forbids KIL. Ning didn't listen to anything and in a single sweep of his spear launched a powerful air cutter and killed all 4 people at once. As soon as the bodies dropped, Ning heard another set of notifications. Host has done something forbidden by the system. Killing the innocents is not without consequences. Host was warned. Host is now being punished, putting all of the victims' fear and despair into the host. Amplifying only fear and despair. Disabling all energy-related skills. Disabling energy absorption. Disabling all energy senses. Shutting down the system for 1 year and 4 months. Suddenly, Ning felt like everything went dark. He lost more than half of his senses, and what remained were barely enough to make him feel that he could still see and feel things. Emotions started budding up inside him that he hadn't felt since the day after he was woken up from the 164-year slumber and learned that everyone might have died already. Despair and fear flared inside him as he lost all functions of his body and fell to the ground. No, he screamed out loud, but no one was there to care for him. Stop this, system, he shouted. Stop it right now. But there was no answer. System, answer me, he screamed out, but once more, there was no answer. Another fear popped up in his heart. The system was gone and he was alone. Just like all of them. You left me too, he started shouting. No one stays behind with me. Why, system? Why? Where are you? Come back please, he continued shouting. However, no matter how much he screamed in fear and despair, there was no answer to reassure him anymore. No answer to tell him it was okay. No answer to tell him it was all right. The logical part of him knew that just as the system said, it was temporary. After some more time, it would return back. But the fear and despair that were amplified by the system prior to leaving was too much for him to handle. He held his head in his arms and crept into a fetal position. Tears streamed down his eyes as he begged the system to stop all the emotions, but it didn't. The feeling that 4 different people had felt just prior to their deaths, and the feeling of someone else close to him leaving him behind one more time, all of these feelings amplified to the limit was too much for him to handle. He started hyperventilating and soon was shivering. Night came by, yet Ning didn't get a single free moment without the despair. The inner pain of the dead people kept him awake. Monsters came at night trying to eat the corpses, but as soon as they heard Ning's scream, they would run away. The entire night, Ning kept it up until he fell asleep on the cold hard ground at around 4 a.m. Late morning, he slowly woke up, feeling as though he had just woken up from a bad dream and the aftertaste still remained. The feeling was still very bad, but he ignored it. He stood up and looked around. System, are you there? He asked as he looked at his unusual surrounding, and finally laid his eyes on the half-eaten corpses. Despair started forming inside him once again. Now that he had come down from the high of enjoyment he had felt when he killed the people, his true self was showing. Regret was all he could feel. He fell down to his knees as he looked at the 4 dead people whose corpses hadn't even remained intact. Oh God. I deserve this, don't I? The system leaving me feeling this pain. I deserve it all. Why did I do something like that? Why did I let my anger against that bastard sway my emotions to do this? Since when did I become such a cold-hearted murderer? He kept asking himself. Guilt and regret nearly ate him from the inside. He dropped his head and banged it onto the ground in front of the 4 dead bodies and started screaming. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. He banged against the ground multiple times, screaming, I'm sorry, each time. In the end, he simply just cried as he bowed. After a while, he opened his eyes, determined to do something good at least. He took the spear from nearby and started digging the ground. It was in the middle of nowhere, but this was the best he could do right now. He dug them up a grave and buried what little body they had left. After the 4 corpses were gone, he finally checked himself. He was a sorry mess as expected. There was blood all over his clothes. Dirt had stuck to the cloth and even gotten onto his skin. He took the spear and walked towards the sea. He walked past the tree where he had killed Yashis and looked at where his body should have been. However, aside from the pool of blood, there was nothing there. Monsters had already gotten to him. However, this brought up absolutely no emotions in Ning. He kept on walking forward until a light appeared from amongst the foliage. He moved aside the trees with his spear and saw the beautiful blue ocean. Without hesitation, he started running towards it. He was on a giant cliff, but he cared not. Without thinking twice, jumped off of the cliff into the deep blue ocean. Splash! Ning fell into the cold water down below and sunk inside for a while before he started floating upwards. He arrived at the surface and simply floated up there. There were no waves, no fishes, no sound. He closed his eyes and felt the sun hit his face at an angle. Slowly, the cold water washed away all of his negative emotions until only nothing remained. The calmness of his heart was something he hadn't felt before. Finally, he started to really think about what had happened. The system had temporarily left him for 1 year and 4 months, a total of 16 months. Is that 4 months per innocent person I killed? He wondered. However, the answer wouldn't come for a long time. He floated there and thought of the other things that had taken place. He tried to see if it worked, but as expected, he could no longer collect energy at all. System said that I can't use energy-related skills too, right? He thought and tried to check it by using a few. There was no more air cutter coming out from in front of him. No more candle fire lighting up. No more body transfer or parasite. Fortunately, most of the skills use mental energy, he thought. He could still use the different skills he had bought, and the information he had bought also all remained. He put the spear inside his storage and felt himself getting a little lighter on the water. Storage works too, he thought. There was nothing else he could do, so he let the water slowly drift him away. He stayed on the water and let his mind blank out for nearly the whole day. He felt like doing nothing, and so he did nothing. Finally, around late afternoon, he decided it was time to go back. His clothes were completely wet, however, the blood didn't wash away, so he simply took it off and threw it away. He washed himself to get rid of the blood and finally swam back towards the cliff. The cliff was steep and there was no way to normally walk back. However, for Ning it was nothing. He made his fingers into a claw and started clawing into the cliff to make footholds. I should learn how to fly next time, he thought as he started climbing up. Soon, he reached the top and used yin to heat technique to dry himself in the shades. He took out another set of robes and wore it before walking back to the city. He didn't really register how many people he saw during his walk back. He showed his identification at the gate and walked in. It was late, so he went directly to the sect. However, before he reached his cottage, someone stopped him. Ning looked up to see who it was, but he didn't recognize the person. "Can I help you with something?" he asked in a calm manner. "Your name is Ning, right?" the man asked. "Yes, that is me," he said. "Why weren't you at the volunteer hall today?" the man asked. Ning was trying to keep his anger at bay, but the man's questioning started to tick him off. "It's a volunteering place. It's not our work, right? We can leave sometimes. I needed a day off, so I took it," Ning said. "Okay, that doesn't matter right now. Come with me. We've been searching for you for a few hours already. The patient's situation might get worse if we delay any further," the man said and immediately started walking out. Ning got a little curious now. "A patient?" he asked and started following. "No, multiple ones. They kept coming one after another and the physicians didn't know what to do," the man said. "Physicians couldn't solve a problem. Then why call me? They shouldn't know that I am talented than these physicians, right?" he wondered. "Why me?" he asked. "Honestly, I have no idea. We were just told to search for you immediately, and so we did. We've already wasted so much time. Let's hurry." The man was already sprinting and now he started running faster. Ning started to finally understand the severity of the situation. But he still had one more question, so he asked, "Who told you to look for me?" The name that came out of the man's mouth was probably the one he expected the least. It was Elder Neil, the man said. "Elder Neil? Why would he ask for me? Did he come across something Ning thought of a possibility, and the fact that the man said there were multiple patients, he started to get scared. His fear was already amplified by the system, and he thought that the fear he felt of those dead people was gone, but now, a new fear popped up. He soon reached the guild and swiftly made his way to a giant room with a dozen or so people present, where half of them were the patients. Oh no, he was truly scared now. Just as he had expected, the patients were all females with big bellies. However, they weren't pregnant, instead, they had blackish blue bellies. Just like that one woman for a couple of weeks back, these females had the same problem. But Ning remembered what would happen if he started to cure them. The unique yin qi they possessed was extremely harmful, and if he wasn't careful could destroy his body. He could tell that he was being unreasonable and that he had a cure for himself in the case that any of these things happened, but the amplified fear was not something he could easily suppress. *T. Stupid system. Why did you have to go and amplify fear? Now even the tiniest hint of it messes with me. He finally got a hold of his fear and looked ahead with determination. He would help these people get cured even if that was the last thing he did, and given that he was immortal, he knew that would never be the last thing he did. Ning walked straight inside and looked at the 6 women who all had the big blackish blue bellies. He then turned around to look at the 6 physicians. From of them all, He surprisingly recognized all of them. There was the elder Neil, the first elder, a physician he had worked under a few times, one person from the volunteer exam, another from the management team. And finally, the last person he hadn't expected to see here, or ever at all. Kazir Brouch. Whoa, I haven't seen that man in a long time, he thought. The last time he had seen him was right before entering the Starsight City for the first time. However, Ning didn't say anything and simply bowed to the group in front of them. They were all seniors in front of him and that was appropriate. Volunteer Ning, I heard that you can help these people, the man from the management asked. Yes, Ning said. The eyes of everyone in the room perked up. You can heal them, attendant, Volunteer Ning? The physician asked. Yes, I am able to, Ning said. Don't worry. I have seen him do it, Elder Neil said. He hated Ning, but even he couldn't deny that he was the perfect man for the job. Can you tell us what is wrong with these people, Volunteer Ning? The first elder asked. Ning looked at the girls and said, it's their cultivation method. They cultivate something that gathers this very unique yin qi from what I've recognized and it somehow gathers around their navel area. He then turned around and started explaining. The yin qi then accumulates and starts bloating them from the inside. The yin qi itself is very dangerous, but because they cultivate the method, I assume it doesn't harm their body to the extent. But if we were to pass the same yin qi to any of us, the qi would start eating us up from the inside, nearly decaying us. I must say, these girls are lucky that it doesn't eat them up, or they would be dead by now. However, for these girls to have it too, Ning trailed off for a few seconds and immediately turned towards the girls before asking, is any one of you from the Eagle sect? The girls looked at each other with blank faces and started nodding. The elders and physicians there were surprised to see a unanimous affirmation. You girls are all from the Eagle sect? Kazir asked with a weird look on his face. Yes, doctor, they said as they all nodded. He thought of something and asked, when did you girls leave the sect? Left? Ning was surprised that that was the conclusion Kazir reached without any hints. A few months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, similar answers came from all around. Amitabha. Just what is that woman doing? Kazir said in a low voice but everyone managed to hear it. Ning didn't understand what that meant, but he didn't let that bother him. Can I heal them now? He asked. Sure, but how will you do it? The first elder asked. Yeah, Volunteer Ning, you didn't tell me how last time either, Elder Neil said. Ning thought for a second. He couldn't tell them about the yin conversion techniques. Even if he could, they wouldn't be able to learn it so it would be useless. So, the only thing he could do right now explained it vaguely. As I said previously, all that is the yin qi gathered in there. As long as you can take it out through some method you can heal them. I have one that only I can use, but you guys will have to look for your own. Ning then called one of the girls forward and started using the yin to sound conversion technique. It took some time but he managed to pull the yin out of her body. However, he didn't immediately let go of the buzzing. Everyone else was already wincing at the loud sound. Even Elder Neil who knew what was coming couldn't help it. Seeing the bloated blackish blue belly go back to being flat again, the elders were surprised. Ning thought of immediately going to the next woman but remembered how bad the yin qi was. If he let it accumulate, he didn't know if he could handle it at that point. So, he started dancing once more. Elder Neil was a little surprised this time. The last time he had danced, he thought that the kid was mocking him, however this time, in front of all of these elders, he wouldn't dare do that. Just what is that kid doing? He wondered. Suddenly, the sound disappeared. Ning danced for a little while longer before stopping. Phew. He took a deep breath in and out. Damn, that was harder than I remembered. Did this girl have more yin qi than the last one? He wondered. Volunteer Ning, are you okay? The first elder asked. Yes, I'm okay. That was a little harder than I had expected, but I'm fine now, he said. What exactly did you do just now? They asked. Oh, you see, while I took away the yin qi, it was still with me and would attack me as soon as I let go, so I had to use a technique to erase it from my body, Ning said. I will continue curing the other ladies too if that is okay with you all, Ning said. Of course. Please, go ahead, Kazir said. Ning continued the same thing. He would take the yin qi away from the ladies and then dance for a bit to destroy the yin qi. The elders and physicians watched with fascination at what was happening in front of them. After a little while, Ning managed to heal all the ladies and they left. It's quite late so I should leave too. Please send any new ladies that come with such a problem to my room in the volunteer hall, Ning said and left as well. 2 months swiftly passed. Ning was now a volunteer in the volunteer hall with some notes. Ever since the time when he cured the different women with the blackish-blue bellies, he had been regularly sent about 2 to 3 women a week. The number had decreased lately and he barely got one a week. Even so, the people outside could see a big-bellied woman walking in and a flat-bellied woman walking out. This had caused the interest of the patients to catch on to Ning. While they hadn't forgotten about the fact that he stopped doing those heavenly massages, they were still willing to visit him in case of a serious issue if the other volunteers were a little bit busy. Added onto the fact that there were people who needed actual massages to heal themselves, Ning had started having a small, but regular amount of visitors. Yes, as long as you boil some water and use a clean towel to soak the steam and put it onto your swollen area, you will be healed in no time, Ning told his patient. Is that so? Thank you, doctor. The woman in her 50s handed him a coupon and left. 4 points, huh, that's not bad, Ning thought. He opened the box that kept the coupons and checked it. He had kept track of the amount and the amount he currently had was about 2016. I can take one of the 3 tests during the next exam date, Ning thought. I wonder which one I should take. There were 3 different exams to become a physician. The first one had to do with the patients. The exam was to see if patients could recognize what injuries or diseases, or just simple problems the patients had. Accurately identifying the problem was a necessary thing when one wanted to search for solutions. The second exam had to do with the solutions to the injuries. The people who came to see the physicians were those who couldn't be healed by the volunteers. Meaning, they needed some form of treatment or medication. It was the physician's job to identify what medication or treatment was necessary to treat the patient. The third and last one was perhaps the most simple of the 3. It had to do with recognizing the ingredients that take part in making medicines. There were way too many ingredients that made the medicines and remember which was very important. As such, only after completing these 3 exams with remarkable results could one truly be a physician. Maybe I should start with the ingredients. Since it's the easiest and not even the elder Neil can FCK with me in the questions, Ning thought to himself. Now that he couldn't leave to go anywhere he wanted, he was stuck there for the next year and 2 months. Once again, a period of boredom came to Ning's room. No patients arrived at all for the next 2 hours, so he started cultivating midday. It had been a norm for him now. Ever since the system had left him, he had started to cultivate normally whenever he got the chance to get stronger than he was now. During the last 2 months, his chi cultivation had gone up by a single level and his body cultivation had gone up by 2 levels. For some reason, even after fully adapting to the chi around him, it was still hard to break through when he hit a bottleneck. For body cultivation, however, there was no such thing as a bottleneck. It was just one continuous stream of cultivation from start to finish. So, his body cultivation was now at level 8 while his chi was in the 7th chi condensation realm. Still, he was quite close to the 8th chi condensation realm. He could already feel the bottleneck incoming. He cultivated all day that day and nobody came looking for him. So, when it was time to leave, he stopped cultivation and stood up. Suddenly, somebody walked into the room. Ning turned around to see that it was a young woman. Are you leaving? The woman asked as soon as she saw him out of his seat. Yes, I was just a BO. Ning stopped when he saw the woman's body. Specks of black dots were all over the woman's skin. Ning immediately walked close to the women and checked the skin. The black dots were very unusual. It seemed like they had a pattern to them and were mostly equidistant away from each other. Only in rare cases were there more than one at the same spot. What is this? He wondered. I think I got sunburned or something. Can it be healed quickly, doctor? The woman asked. Ning had no answer, but he knew it was no sunburn. Can you tell me when this occurred or how this could have happened? Ning asked. I don't know. This suddenly started appearing on my body today morning. It wasn't a lot and I thought it would go away at first, but it flared this afternoon and reached this level. So, I came here as soon as I was off work, the woman explained. I see, Ning said as he looked at the black dots more carefully. There were hundreds of types of black dots that could appear, and he knew that. Now, he had to figure out which one it was. Can you show me more skin? I need to confirm it's everywhere, Ning said. The girl blushed a little and nodded before lifting her robes to show her skin that was riddled with black spots everywhere. Ning was beyond confused as to what exactly was going on. How are her hands so full of black dots? I need more information. Did you eat or touch anything funny? Ning asked. No, not really. Just the regular food at the restaurant where I work, the girl said. I see. Then what about, doctor? The girl screamed. What? What's wrong? Ning was surprised. The girl pointed at him and said, your hands. Ning looked down at his hands and nearly lost a heartbeat when he saw that his fingers started to have black spots too. What the? He screamed. The black spots, whatever it was contagious.